Cornerback Deandre Baker suffered a brutal season-ending injury in yesterday's game whereby he broke his left femur. I want to go over that injury with you in more detail. For those who don't know me, my name is Sonam and I'm a resident doctor specializing in sports and exercise medicine. Let's take a look at his left femur fracture. Let me start off by saying that the femur is the strongest bone in our body and can withstand up to 40 times our own body weight. Let's just put it this way. When doctors hear about a femur fracture, we're expecting high energy trauma and multiple systems to be impacted. So this was quite an interesting injury to take a look at in the replay footage. So let's take a look at the footage in greater detail. So this is Deandre playing here in red, and he's running back and defending. And as you can see, he's going to come off the screen here. But as soon as he comes back in, you're going to see the left leg completely bow out, and there's almost a snapping sensation. Most people thought that he blew out his knee until they realized that he actually broke the femur, which is the upper bone of your thigh. Now let's continue watching. And he's in quite a lot of pain here. To break a bone of that degree takes an amazing amount of force. So it's completely understandable that he's on the ground and he cannot get up. So as a sports medicine physician, when I'm assessing Deandre in the locker room, the first thing I'm looking for is doing my ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation. In his case, they'd be normal. So the next thing I'm looking at is the fracture. The most important thing I need to assess for that fracture is, one, is bone sticking out of the skin, and two, is the circulation still intact? So is blood flow still going to below the site of the fracture? In some cases, when bones break, they pinch off arteries and cause decreased blood flow to the area, which can quickly kill tissues. So signs I'm looking for: a cool limb, a pale limb, a limb that looks super white, or a limb where if you press on the nail, it doesn't come back and turn pink. That's kind of one of our metrics that we use. Now, if we see any of those signs, we may have to actually try to put that fracture back into place in the locker room to try to restore that. If his limb looks like it's got a good amount of circulation, arguably in that case, we can wait until he gets into the emergency department for more definitive management by the orthopedic surgeon. So in Deandre's case, news reports have revealed that he suffered a femoral shaft fracture. Let's take a look at our human anatomy specimen here, and I'll show you where this fracture would have occurred. So the femur is the longest bone in the body and the strongest bone in the body. This femur is essentially your thigh bone. And I'm highlighting it here. Now the femur can break in three spots: the femoral head, the femoral shaft, and the femoral condyle, so the bottom part of the femur. Now, even though news reports state that the femur was broken, they don't actually specify whether or not it was the shaft or if it was the bottom. I don't think it was the head, just based on the imaging itself. The femoral neck tends to be injured in chronic marathoners, people who are active military patients, and those who have stress fractures. Femoral shaft fractures tend to happen in high motor vehicle collisions or high impact collisions. So it takes a lot of force to fracture this. And if someone has come in with a fractured femur, I'm thinking they may have other injuries as well. And femoral condyle fractures can happen in really young patients who are still growing, or really old patients who have brittle and weak bones. So in Deandre's case, based off of all the information I have, my sneaking suspicion is that he definitely fractured the shaft. Now, what's so unique about it is that, like we said, a fracture of the shaft area here takes an extremely high amount of energy. And the fact that he did that without being hit on his own as he was running during a play is extremely abnormal. So with broken bones, the management is pretty simple. If a bone breaks, put it back into place, make sure it doesn't move. So Deandre had surgery immediately after the injury. And the way you can fix these femoral shaft fractures is you can either use screw and plate, so think construction, put it back together and put on a screw and plate so it doesn't move. Or, more interestingly, they can put nails up on either side of the actual femur to hold it in place. So how long will Deandre be out with this injury? Unfortunately, a fracture to the femur will take you out for a good season, and it will likely take him up to a year to rehabilitate this bone to be well enough to come back. Now, because the mechanism of injury didn't quite fit with the level of injury that Deandre sustained, as a doctor, I'd be really diligent ruling out other medical conditions that can cause weaker bones. So things like bone tumors or hormonal conditions that cause weakening of the bone, predisposing them to breaking at lower forces. Overall, Deandre was extremely unlucky to suffer such an unfortunate and such an obscure injury in a non-contact play. He will definitely be out for the season, but I have no doubt that he will rehabilitate back and come back stronger than ever. Now, for those who like this video, please press on the like button. For those who want to see additional content where I break down sports injuries from professional athletes so that the average fan can better understand them, please subscribe to my channel. For now, that's all. Have a great day.